come up.
Thank you. I'm an environmental activist at heart, so when I look out over this vast asphalt plain, the first thing that comes to my mind, if any development was to happen at this location, what the city really, really needs is a stormwater retention basin, so that the Smurf operation can continue to operate on the first day of heavy rains that has the worst pollutants in it. The Smurf facility gets overwhelmed, they shut down, and they let all that crap go right into the ocean. They redeveloped a number of parks and didn't even think about doing it. I do see that LA is starting to put retention basins in underneath their parks, and especially down on Rose, I believe, down there near Venice. So that's a good thought. If anything is to go up there while they're disturbing the area, I think that's something that should be into consideration. Would increase the recycling of water, which is going to be very important in the upcoming future. The price of our water is going to start skyrocketing, so if the city can gather more of it to be cleaned, that's a benefit. The other thing I'd like to speak to, I hear this, I've heard this for 20 years or more, that private sector can manage things more efficiently. That may be true, but we have to think about how do they do that? They do that by paying Mickey Mouse wages to the workers, who then can't really afford to live and require taxpayers' subsidies to actually have a decent life. So I'd like to just throw that idea out, period. I do not think that this needs to be run by the private sector. The last thing I have, you're going to get used to hearing me say this because I'm going to say it every time I speak. I think a good source of funding is that we should just ask Michael Dell to provide us with $1 million every year to fund the Civic Santa Monica Auditorium. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Virginia Cofield, followed by Delynn Waldron. Virginia Cofield.
All the presentations have been fabulous. The only thing I'd like to say, which was brought up in our funding group, and I want to make a point of this, is that if there are any developments that take place in the city henceforth, or if we can control what's on the docket now, that those developers should be required to have a certain amount of money given to whatever is done at our Civic Center auditorium. That is to be decided by whoever as to the amounts, but I think that's one of the community benefits that should be required.
Thank you very much. Just a point, we noticed that not everybody signed in, and I noticed that some people are leaving. So not that you have to sign in, but we'd love to be able to stay in touch with you via email to let you know about this process. So if you do need to leave before we're finished and you didn't sign in, could you please leave us your email on your way out? Thank you. Delynn?
Hi all, I'm a little froggy tonight. I was on that original committee that saved our pier, and I'm here now. And I'm here now to save the Civic. Until we have a good alternative, we cannot close that and stop it being used from the things for which it is now being used. Just last week, I guess it was, our friend here, Guido Lamel, maestro now of the Santa Monica Symphony, virtually filled that auditorium. There were probably 200 seats out of over 2,000 set up that were empty. Maestro Gross has filled that auditorium with over 3,000 people, including people that weren't counted because they were standing in the aisles. Please, In our committee over there, people talked about the trade shows will be leaving town. All that ancillary business will be gone. And also, our friend who just spoke now mentioned the infrastructure. Our infrastructure is not set up for all of this massive development. On North Ocean Avenue, we're already down to dribbles of electricity and outages. The whole town will be in that condition. And so please, I am against any more development. I am for keeping the Civic open for its present uses until we have an alternative. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jonathan Mann, and Jonathan will be followed by, if I got my papers correctly, Liz Bell.
Hello. I believe, it's my considered opinion, that we're at a very critical juncture here with what we do with the Civic. We have an opportunity to take control of this whole process that's been in planning, not necessarily by wise minds, but people who already are drooling over the profits they're going to make. Another thing that hasn't been mentioned today is the impact of traffic, and it's really getting bad, and it's going to get a lot worse when some of these projects are finished. I like the idea of having a cultural center and a commission, but I'm worried about the council. We have a council right now with a majority of people who are pro-development, not just slow growth, but smart growth. And as far as I'm concerned, there's that very little difference between the two. This city belongs to us. It's our city, and we need to take it back. And I think the only way we can do that is not by having meetings like this, which is a way to get it started, but to follow up with another approach that's never been tried. What I'm talking about is putting a forum on the city website that the council would have to listen to, because in order to go on to the city website, the first thing you're directed to is a forum on what's going to happen with the Civic Center. And there are thousands of people in this city who have an opinion about it. We're not all apathetic. We're not all like the people that come here to these meetings and don't get listened to. But I truly believe, and I've been talking about this for over 20 years, I truly believe that if you want a voice in our municipal government, you're going to have to take it. And you're going to have the kind of voice that will force the city council to listen to you. Because if we could come up with a consensus, an electronic interface where everybody works together online 24/7 and comes up with questions about behind the door undercover deals that are going on right now, that have been going on for years. If we could get together online, they will have to listen to us, and they'll have to interact with us. They're not interacting with us here. They say they're listening, but they're not really listening. They already have made up the 4 people on the council that are running things right now. We have a chance between now and 2014 to replace 2 of them. But there's a lot of money out there that's going to try to do the opposite and elect more people who are pro-development. Thank you very much.
Liz Bell?
This might have been covered in the funding section, but I wanted to make this point when we were talking about parcel taxes. Parcel taxes are paid by people who own the property. I do not own property in Santa Monica. I'm a renter. And the property owners and our landlords particularly, I don't think is going to be very interested in paying more money for the Civic. I am, however. So I would just like the city to maybe benchmark around the country to see what other cultural places have done to create some kind of interesting, innovative bonds that would allow people who have a stake in the Civic to pay the money. I don't think a sales tax is the right way to go. That's regressive and that hurts people. But You know, would I pay $100 a year? Sure. For 10 years, I'd pay it. So there, I know in the electricity crisis, the utilities came up with another interesting way of getting money from us to pay for what happened during the electricity crisis. Because I worked on those bond issue, on those bonds. So I know there's creative thinking, and I would think benchmarking around the country to see what other places have done.
Thank you very much. Jim Cofield? Passing. Okay, Sep Donauer. And after Mr. Donauer, we have Nina Fresco.
Hi, I think this has been a very productive evening. I think a lot of good ideas we put out here. My view on this thing is pretty simple. I think that the city needs a little help in developing a good, intelligent plan. You only have one shot at doing this. I think you need to choose the right options for the site there, the right partners, and the right type of deals and relationships with those partners. And that sounds simple, but it's not so simple. And I think it might be very productive if the city council formed a, well, let's call it an advisory board or something like of that sort, and culled out of the city and the surrounding area professionals, you know, that would donate their time, that are involved in real estate development and banking, finance, the art exhibition business, entertainment business, personal appearance business, all facets of anything that would go on that site, to bring the best plan to the city council and develop it, and the best potential partners and players, and also the best deals, because in each of these areas of business, there's a lot that goes on, and not all the revenue streams are real transparent. I was in one of them for many years, and I can tell you that with authority. And it's important for this whole thing to work that the city maximize its revenues off of whatever use is done there, and that they get great deals with all of the partners or tenants or whoever they're dealing with, and I think they could use some help on it. And that's basically it. I think I've talked to players around town, you know, from the various concert companies with the business I'm in. I know them all. And every one of them has tremendous interest in the Santa Monica Civic. They've been down to the Civic, they've met with the folks in the city and everything. And it's just a matter, I think, of the right puzzle being put together, and you'll see a tremendous cultural campus develop at that facility. Thank you.
After Nina, we have Dolores Sloan.
Hi, everyone. I've been working over the past couple months with a group called Save Our Civic. And Save the Civic we basically are organized because we want all of you here and to continue to come to all of these meetings and know what's going on. We've created a web page. Do y'all have your pens out? It's www.savethecivic.org. That's all one word. And on this webpage, you will find that we have gathered and linked to pretty much every city document since about 2002 that's been written about the Civic. So you can read up on everything and understand the basis of everything that staff is telling you, and read all kinds of really interesting research reports that have listed all kinds of fascinating tidbits. We also have press links, and most importantly, we have a Facebook page with over 600 likes as I speak. And if you like our Facebook page, you will, of course, be kept updated on all of the things that are going on and can continue to follow this process. So that's really what we're doing now, and we're really excited that the city is starting this process fresh in this new economic environment and is open to so many different ideas. And we hope from this big picture and this early involvement that we'll all participate and we'll all be really happy with the final result.